Dear students, I am Dr. Aruna Mohan from Delhi University and I continue discussion of alimentary canal with you. In the previous session, we have discussed about liver, about pancreas and also about small intestine. While discussing small intestine, we did come across the secretion called succus entericus, and we have also discussed what succus entericus is doing in the small intestine. Now, this session is fully devoted only to succus entericus, which is a secretion from small intestine. I have emphasized this point many times that when we eat food, its digestion and its absorption is very important for us. We cannot absorb it, or in other words, our body cannot absorb it unless it is fully digested. What do we mean by the word digestion? Digestion becomes important because we cannot absorb this food unless we digest it, and in digestion we have to convert complex food molecule to simpler ones and finally to its simplest form. Simplest form, I mean carbohydrate to be converted to glucose and fructose, proteins to be converted to amino acids and fats to be converted to fatty acids and glycerol. Now, these final changes to make final simplest form will take place in small intestine by succus entericus. We know that proteins were converted to dipeptides during the course of digestion, but that is not enough. We have to go further, digest it further, break it further and make simpler and the simplest form. So, dipeptidases, the enzymes in succus entericus, will convert dipeptides into amino acids. You know that proteins are chain of amino acids. Amino acids which are put serially in a particular order will make one particular kind of protein. Now, digestion in this case will mean that break that chain of amino acid and bring it in the form of loose amino acid individually falling there. Means whatever protein you have eaten should break down to its component amino acid. It may be your gram or pea, it may be egg or meat or milk. Amino acid chain is different in all these cases, but when they break down, it is just the amino acid, and that is what we require because we can absorb this food only in the form of amino acid. I am sure, students, you are now appreciating why digestion is such a complex process and why we are breaking complex molecules into simpler and then to simplest form, and why our system is so well defined to carry on this work in our alimentary canal, and also you will appreciate why our alimentary canal is so long, so that these changes can take place on time, and by the time the food has reached the small intestine, it comes to its absorbable form. So, it is succus entericus, dipeptidases in succus entericus which will bring dipeptides to its final form, the amino acids, which will be now absorbed by blood capillaries in the small intestine. Similarly, we have maltase in succus entericus. Before coming to small intestine, the digestion of carbohydrate up to maltose had taken place, but we cannot absorb maltose, we can absorb glucose. So, this maltose should be converted to glucose, and this will happen in the presence of maltase, converting maltose to glucose. So, again the sugar has come to its final simpler form in which it will be absorbed by blood capillaries. Coming to lactase, another enzyme present in succus entericus or in the small intestine juice, and it will convert lactose to glucose and galactose. Children, you know that lactose is present in milk and milk products, basically in milk, and you have milk digestive enzyme in stomach, and it is digested to lactose, but again we cannot absorb lactose. So, lactose to be converted into further simpler form glucose and galactose, and for that you need an enzyme lactase, and this is present in Succus entericus. So, you can see that Succus entericus is giving photo finish to all these digestive processes. Why? Because absorption is going to take place in the small intestine, and small intestine will make it sure that the food is digested to its simplest form. So, in this case lactose in the presence of lactase is converted to glucose and galactose, and now we can absorb it in the small intestine, of course by blood. Sucrase and the enzyme in Succus entericus will convert sucrose into glucose and fructose. Sucrose is a very simple form, but not the simplest form. When you started digestion in the buccal cavity for starch, and then it continued in stomach, continued in duodenum also, then carbohydrates broke down to the stage of sucrose, but we cannot absorb sucrose. So, we need to further simplify it, and now Succus entericus brings sucrase for us, which will do this conversion sucrose to glucose and fructose, which are almost the simplest form and can be absorbed through our blood capillaries present in the small intestine. Nucleotides, again we are talking about nucleic acids, we have to digest nucleic acids also. So, nucleotides will be digested by nucleotidases present in Succus entericus and will convert nucleotides to nucleosides. We cannot absorb nucleosides, they need to be further broken down, and they will be broken down by another enzyme called nucleosidases, which are also present in Succus entericus, and now it will convert nucleosides to sugar and bases. See what a nice thing has happened. We can easily absorb sugar in the form of glucose and fructose. So, nucleic acids we digested, broke it to simpler forms, and finally the simpler form was nucleosides. We cannot absorb nucleosides, so we have broken it down to sugar and the bases, which can be absorbed by our alimentary canal. So, see the long process and so many steps to bring it down to sugar from nucleic acid, which you can absorb easily through your small intestine. We have also discussed in the previous session about diglycerides and monoglycerides, the big fat molecule after the action of bile and after the action of lipases was broken down to mono and diglyceride. Again, our lactase in the small intestine cannot absorb even this. So, it should break down further. It should come to more simple form or simplest form. So, that will happen in the presence of lipases present in Succus entericus, and now it will be converted to fatty acids and glycerol that you can absorb through lactase. So, the point which you should appreciate and try to understand that simpler molecules will make the complex molecule in the nature that we are eating in the form of fats, proteins, carbohydrates, and our alimentary canal will again break it to the simplest form before we can absorb. So, this breaking down and making the complex body again is taking place many times in the nature. You have absorbed food in the form of glucose, fructose, fatty acids, glycerol and amino acids. Now these things have reached your cells. Do you think they will remain in the same form? No. Amino acids will again enter the protein synthesis, will make complex protein for you, muscle protein, eye protein, nerve cell protein. All different kinds of proteins will be made out of these raw material of proteins, amino acid. Fats you broke down to fatty acids and glycerol, absorbed it. It will not remain in this form. It will again make the complex form out of raw material and deposit as a fat molecule in your body. And same thing is going to happen with glucose, but most of the glucose will be utilized in giving you energy in the form of ATP. This is what was happening in the small intestine, and after digestion was completed, small intestine will make sure that absorption has taken place. Now, till this point we have digested the food completely and we have absorbed the digested food, but there will be some food which is not digested and will not be digested now, or there is some food which is left after digestion has taken place, and there is some food which is left after absorption has taken place. In other words, after digestion and absorption has taken place, something is left in small intestine. That will move down to large intestine, the cecum, and finally to rectum. This is fecal matter. The food left after digestion, after absorption is a fecal matter. It will go to large intestine in the cecum. At that point, you have ileocecal valve. Let me also tell you the value of this ileocecal valve at this point. After ileocecal valve, you have only fecal matter. Very little will happen in rectum, except that some water is reabsorbed and some minerals are reabsorbed and some drugs are also absorbed at this point. I want to make 2 points clear here. Ileocecal valve will allow entry of food after digestion and absorption to large intestine, not back, not in the reverse direction. That means fecal matter cannot come back to small intestine. That will also mean when somebody is vomiting, then some food is coming out, that is coming out from esophagus, from stomach. It may be coming out from duodenum and small intestine also, but never ever the fecal matter will come out through mouth, because this ileocecal valve will not allow fecal matter to go back to small intestine. So, this is one thing which I should tell you, that ileocecal valve allows only movement of food after digestion and absorption to large intestine and not backward. Other thing I told you about rectum is that absorption of water and minerals and some drugs can take place here. No more digestion or absorption will be there otherwise. So, from this point I come to next point, that if you keep your fecal matter for long time in rectum, then more water is absorbed and hence feces will become very hard and it will be difficult to defecate. It will be difficult to defecate and it will result into constipation. So, having correct toilet habits, defecating at least once in a day is very important. So, now you understand what is succus entericus, what is its role in digestion and what is the role of small intestine in absorption and how rectum behaves as far as absorption of water and electrolytes is concerned. With this, we come to the end of this session. Thank you.